Ace's first reaction to seeing Deuce at the opening ceremonies is, "Dude looks as serious as a heart attack, bet we'll get on like oil and water." Despite this, the first thing he does when speaking to Deuce directly for the first time is try to convince him to sneak out of a welcome party for Hearts Lobule students and into the head mage's office. When Cater catches them in the act, Ace says, "We're so grateful that you put the party together for us. Right?" And Deuce backs him up with, yes. Yes, of course." Deuce backs Ace up again in Book 1 as the only Hearts Lobule student to support his efforts to stand against Riddle.
とんでもありません、寮長。すべては寮長のご決断次第です。日和やがって、だっせ。
The two interact for the first time in the main story during the prologue when Deuce drops a cauldron on Ace in an attempt to keep him from ditching out on his punishment for setting one of the school's statues on fire. Neither student can remember the other's name, at first, with Ace referring to him as Juice.
お前も覚えてねえじゃん。
おい、ジュース？ジュースじゃない！デュースだ！
After Grimm runs away, the two track him to the cafeteria, with Deuce using magic to launch Ace at a chandelier, which then breaks. Everyone, including the prefect, is expelled as a result. Ace has an issue with Deuce attempting to become the leader of the team as they search for a new mage stone for the chandelier, which will allow them to stay in school, and after their first interaction with the monster in the mine, Ace decides he would rather go home and accept the expulsion. When Deuce tries to convince him to help, Ace responds that Deuce is not even half the mage he is, and is welcome to fetch the stone by himself. Ace says that he does not trust Deuce to improvise, and it is left up to Grimm and the prefect to convince them to work together.
作戦？同感だ。こいつと協力なんかできるわけない。
でも、入学初日で退学って、もっとダセい気がするのだ。
Ace and Deuce bicker in almost every event, vignette, and storyline in which they appear together, and these fights are often instigated by Ace. He disparages Deuce's Halloween costume idea, and greets Deuce on the first day of the new year with mockery, apropos of nothing. They spend the majority of a vignette insulting each other's magic abilities. When they get color magic on Floyd, Ace is quick to assign blame to Deuce. He also complains about Deuce during Halloween, encouraging other Hearts Lobule students to insult Deuce's acting. Deuce rarely goes after Ace without any provocation, though he does tease him for his poor behavior during New Year's, after Ace has already been rude. Ace often insults Deuce for no apparent reason. During Vargas camp, he tells Floyd that Deuce would be too scared to go mountain climbing with Jade. He mocks Deuce for crying during Spectral Soiree, despite how he didn't see it happen himself. He laughs at Deuce's proposal during the Phantom Bride event, and makes fun of him for struggling with math. When Deuce tells him about an award he has won for his performance at a track meet, Ace responds, "Try not to get so flustered that you embarrass yourself." During the ceremony, two students mock Deuce from the audience. The prefect expresses concern, but Ace says to let them talk. Ace then falls asleep during Deuce's awards ceremony, leading to Grimm doing the same. Ace describes Deuce as a bore who charges headfirst into everything. His internal brakes are busted. I feel like he sees me as a rival. I'd wipe the floor with him if he ever wanted to throw down, of course. Deuce says that Ace cheats the entire time when they play card games together, so it isn't fun at all. It seems that Ace also enjoys pranking Deuce. We see in a chat that he once convinced Deuce that his watch, which has no date display, was 2 days slow, leading him to apologize to all his teachers for being 2 days late to classes. Ace's bullying is a theme throughout Book 5. He forces a piece of apple pie into Deuce's mouth, thus breaking Ville's rules about snacks during the competition training period. And when Deuce gets lectured by Ville for trying to protect Appel, Ace follows up with, "You're not exactly smart about this stuff." Deuce becomes enraged by Ace constantly insulting his intelligence and runs off, but Ace doesn't seem to understand that he has done anything wrong. Grimm says that he should really start thinking about other people's feelings before he speaks, and Ace responds, "Why should a guy with his act together walk on eggshells around a guy slowing down the team? We're doing the same rehearsals. Not my fault he can't do the moves." This is followed by a scene of Deuce revealing how much Ace's comments really do bother him.
エースの野郎、毎度バカにしやがって、ふざけんじゃねえ。いつか本物の優等生になってお前のこと追い抜かしてやっからな。僕は絶対変わってやる。
He and Appel make a pact to win the competition and prove themselves to both Ace and Vil. Deuce follows up with Ace afterwards and Ace begins the conversation with, "You'd better not be expecting an apology." Deuce says, "I'm not letting you outshine me," and Ace becomes confused, asking, "Did he just declare war on me? Is he nuts? That knucklehead wouldn't outshine me in a million years." When Deuce learns his unique magic at the end of the story, Ace mocks it, at first, as just a way to get payback for when you get in fights, but soon admits his shock at Deuce mastering the spell before him. Ace and Deuce seem to be considered a set by the other students, with Trey attempting to tempt Ace into a study session by offering to call in Deuce, as well. Ace insists, "We're not a married couple, you know." In the English adaptation, Cater assigns Ace and Deuce the nickname, Hunting Season, but he only uses it once before changing it to A2. In the original game, his nickname for the two is always A Deuce.
あれ？エーデュースコンビじゃん。それにグリちゃんに監督生ちゃんまで勢ぞろいで。
どうもっす。ってケイト先輩、そのエーデュースって何？
え？二人とも「ス」が名前の最後についてるからまとめてみただけ。あれ？エーデュースコンビにオンボル寮コンビ。
Ace seems to know Deuce very well. During Wish Upon a Star he comments that, "If I know Deuce, and I think I do by now, he's gonna be so freaked out he's frozen stiff," and the scene cuts to Deuce looking terrified by his imminent performance. When Deuce disappears during Spectral Soiree, Ace says, "I'm not exactly worried about Deuce, but I guess it is too quiet without him." During Phantom Bride we see Ace manipulate Deuce into volunteering to propose to Eliza, by telling him that Trey is waiting for Deuce to swoop in and save the day. Cater comments about Deuce not being able to see how Ace is playing him. Ace is extremely confident going into Beanfest, telling Deuce that horsepower alone doesn't cut it, and you gotta have brainpower to make the right calls. Deuce says he won't let Ace capture him, if nothing else. But then the game begins with Ace and Sebek setting up an ambush that Deuce walks right into, after being tricked by Cater. Deuce manages to outrun them to the point that he reaches Riddle, who takes out both Sebek and Ace. Deuce reflects that Ace was correct about not being able to depend on horsepower alone, and Riddle points out, "At least Ace got knocked out of the game a few minutes ago," not specifying the fact that it was he who took him out. Despite the bickering and competitiveness, when Deuce gets into trouble with 3 Hearts lobule upperclassmen, Ace is quick to save him by pretending that Vargas is approaching, which sends the bullies running. Deuce reacts with, "Where's Coach Vargas? Did he leave?" Deuce says that he once got so worked up playing against Ace on a phone game, that they were both up all night competing together. At the end of Spectral Soiree, Ace expresses frustration at Deuce for not understanding how worried Ace had been about him, Grimm and the prefect when they disappeared. Ace vents at Malleus and Lilia, who point out he must have been lonely. Ace insists he only grudgingly lets Deuce, Grimm and the prefect tag along with him, but we see flashbacks that indicate otherwise. At the end of the vignette, Deuce invites Ace to dance, and Ace accepts, feeling better after having expressed his frustrations.